Hello, this is Carlos Peña, and my competitive advantage talk is on generative AI, strategic optimization for teams, coaches, and players. We opted to re-record the beginning of my presentation because there were some technical difficulties with the audio visuals, and we want to make sure that this content is readily available for everyone. I am a 14 season MLB veteran, and I have this unique perspective because not only did I do it between the lines, but I also have a computer science background. I'm a graduate from Northeastern University, and I'm also furthering my studies in artificial intelligence and machine learning. So I have this very unique mentality when it comes to watching the game and sports, because I have the perspective of being between the lines and also this analytical lens as well, and harnessing all the technology that's available to us to better players, to help organizations. At the end of the day, just this is strategic optimization type of endeavor is truly a passion of mine. So when we talk about generative AI, obviously, it's a very exciting field. We understand the power of this technology. It's so interesting, right? It has the ability to learn and analyze complex data. It can create brand new content, and it communicates in everyday language. However, we must make the distinction that what it's available to us right now without paying, right, for free, it's not enterprise-ready AI. And because of this, there are some inaccuracies, right? Because this AI is trained on the internet's fact or fiction, right? I mean, it's not reliable. It's not a reliable source. There are lots of inaccuracies out there in the internet, right? It's unstable and unreliable. And one key point, it's not a specialist. It's actually a generalist, right? This AI is picking up from general source of information. But enterprise-ready AI gets down to the nitty-gritty. And now it's totally different. The enterprise level AI, it's dealing with facts only. It's consistent and reliable. It's custom, secure, and private, okay? Industries are harnessing this enterprise-ready generative AI. It's out there. As a matter of fact, this is a perfect example right here. And when it's specialized for sports, wow, this is the possibilities are endless. It can solve tough problems, even answer questions that perhaps teams were not able to answer before. Just observing the game with the naked eye, it would take so much resources and time to be able to answer and solve these difficult problems. The AI is actually doing it and providing a way out, or providing a suggestion that could be acted upon.
Gives you situationally dynamic solutions, right? So it's always changing with the situation and with the variables. It's trained on the team and the league's data, which it pretty much secures the fact that it's legit, right? You can trust it. And then for us players, man, that everyday language thing is absolutely crucial, because we don't want to be bogged down with complicated stuff. We got to go out there and play, for me, baseball, or play our sport, right? And it's built for coaches and players, this particular technology. And it's already here. As you can see right here on the right, it's already arrived. How does it work? All right? Look, you grab the team's events, geolocation information, the video. You grab it from the team's data, from the league's data. All right? And it's powered by hundreds of models. I cannot even begin to explain the complexity behind all this and the difficulty it is to build this, because you have so much data that you need hundreds of models to go through all the possible variables and situations. And what does it do? I love this part, because it extracts only what matters most. Many times in my career, I spun my wheels, doing and working on so many different things that perhaps I thought were important, but then at the end of the day, did not solve my problem. I was still in a slump, and I couldn't get out of it. I would have loved to have this type of insights that AI generates after looking at all the data, and perhaps my slumps would have been a little bit shorter, right? Incredibly powerful stuff. Look, when we look at the automated car industry, the Teslas, look, I'm driving my car and I'm perfectly enjoying my ride. This is nice, man, right? I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. If we peel back the curtain, it's extremely complex because there's a model that recognizes the stop sign. Well, how quickly does the car have to stop? Because we don't want to get into an accident. Yeah, there's a model for that, but don't forget about the conditions. What about if it's raining? What about if it's snowing? What about if there's sleet? All those things, the models are incredibly complex, and they are hundreds of them. As a matter of fact, I'm just, as the driver, enjoying the ride, right? That's why it seems to us like magic. Particularly when we talk about hockey, right? The AI is able to recognize this over 3,000 player skills. I mean, it's such a sport of so many different variables, right? And then it's able to detect situational player matchups by game conditions and zones, right? It calculates each team's lineup, right? It's looking at each team's players specifically, which is a huge advantage because it gets to know, you get to know your own team even further, right? Even deeper, stuff that you cannot possibly see with the naked eye. And I love this because, again, the most actionable and insightful, impactful insights, right, distilled from millions of interactions. That millions of interactions is crazy because we're talking about all the possibilities. What's happened. The players' interactions are so many of them that it's difficult to even sort through them all. The AI is actually doing it. And then immediately gives you vulnerabilities of your opponent and the mismatches right away. And I'm like, okay, that's very helpful. And it's all cool and all, but the way it's presented, it's extremely simple. So all this complex stuff on the left, but the way it's presented, it's just one-liners. So I like that as a player. I want one-liners, man. I'm going against, some big guys. It's fast out there. I cannot be bogged down with confusing information. The AI simplifies it for you and makes it so easy to understand. And for coaches, it empowers them. It really does. I mean, it makes their job easier, and it gives them, at the very least, a starting point to start to explore. So that way, they don't spin the wheels and waste their time on things, through trial and error. On the soccer pitch, super cool right here, interesting, because it's going to immediately go and analyze the location. Where's the ball going, right? And then, what player is touching it? What is happening? What are the effects of the players that are touching the ball? And then immediately it's going to understand the defensive networks. Again, providing and detecting some defensive weaknesses, right? And giving you scoring chances. And this is actually happening right now. I mean, in this particular example, we have two strong defenders on the left, right? And then a weaker defender on the right. So what does the AI say? You need to go right. But it gets even so specific to say, look, you need to try a lofted pass because the defender on the right cannot handle those passes. All right, and this is what happens. The AI did this before. Here's the lofted pass. Watch it. There it is, going to the right. Defender cannot deal with it, presents a scoring opportunity, and then it's a goal, and everybody goes crazy, as we know, soccer announcers. But this is the AI detecting this before it happened. Imagine being a player and having this type of information. I know where to attack. I don't have to waste my time. I know I have a mission, single-minded mission. The football field, right? It analyzes all the rich data sets that the league and the teams have, right? It systematically finds impactful mismatches. It's like, where should I go here? Okay, there's a mismatch here. I have an advantage over this defender, right? And then the cool thing about this is, like, we all have tendencies as athletes. And they are hard to shake because they are wired in our neurology, man. It's difficult to change. So you have your tendencies that detects them and immediately says, okay, there's a defensive weakness here. In this particular example, all right, there's a defender there that tends to go on the inside and it leaves the edge vulnerable. So if I'm running the ball and I know this, I'm like, wait a second, this guy always goes to the left, goes to the inside, leaves the edges empty for me. I'm going to burn this guy. I'm going to burn him. I got the information already. I can go check it on video, by the way, right? Because it's already suggested. Watch this. He's going that way. All right. I can see that, oh my God, it's true. This guy always goes to the inside. So it gave me a starting point. And what do I do as I'm running the ball? I'm going to burn him. And wow, he certainly did right here. Look at that. See you later. Goodbye. Right? I mean, I don't even know how many yards that was. I mean, there was a lot of yards. Look, the worst nightmare, I would say, is that if I'm facing an opponent and my opponent has that information on me, man, that I'm in a huge disadvantage. I'm like, I want to know too. Like if the other team has this and knows what my vulnerabilities are, by the way, stuff that I may not even know myself. For me, particularly in baseball, it's like, hey, you got to pitch Carlos up and in. Up and in fastballs. He's vulnerable there. I never thought of that. Now I can look back and say, okay, yeah, sure, I can see that. I thought I could react to it, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to be on the side that knows what's going on, right? Then you'll be able to situationally exploit the vulnerabilities of your opponents, right? The great thing about this technology is it extracts insights with precision, and it does it quickly, with speed. But that precision part is like, I could finally funnel all my talent and energy into one spot instead of spinning my wheels and wasting. I mean, I was one of the hardest workers who ever lived. Still am. But I'll tell you what, a lot of times I just spun my wheels and I did not move forward. I built character. I'm a tougher guy because of it. But I would have loved to know these very specific insights because I could concentrate on what truly, truly mattered. And to communicate in everyday language, I cannot stress that enough, okay? We've been so good at collecting data over the years. I mean, we are the best. We have more data that we can even just deal with, all right? And then if you go to a player and to a coach and you say, hey, you should do this, and you talk about the complexities, we check out. It's over. Like, I don't want to, what? Do you know how difficult it is to hit a baseball? Do you know how difficult it is to just find spots so I can run the football or in the soccer pitch, playing hockey? Like, come on, man, I cannot be worried about all this stuff. I need simple insights that I can apply, actionable, coaches as well. This is empowering players and coaches. Look, if we want to have this, I want to be on this side, like the ones that have this type of technology to their, using it to their advantage and to their the ability to be able to use it and let it help their organization in many different aspects. Look, they got the situational preparation, so you're very prepared because you're being specific about your preparation. It's dynamic, it's instantaneous. The cool thing is that it changes with conditions, right? Because you may be playing in a different stadium. It may be raining that day. The insights should change with the conditions. And again, reiterating, the actionable and impactful part of this is so huge because now the talent is able to fully express itself without hindrances. Because now I'm not wasting, I'm not fragmented all over the place on things that don't really matter. It eliminates the unnecessary so that the absolute essential can show up. You got opponents' vulnerabilities. Like I know the boss's weakness and I can attack it. Wow, that's very, very powerful. And that's why I'm so excited. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, this is, a new era is dawning. And this is paradigm shifting. This is groundbreaking. The potential of this technology, it's absolutely game changing or game enhancing because players are going to be better. They'll be able to focus their talent in one direction. Coaches are going to be enhanced. Their ability to communicate with players is going to be more dynamic. Now they have a starting point. They don't have to spin the wheels, as I keep on saying. They can go straight for the most important part and help a player. Now think about the resources that you save, the time that you save. This is what this type of technology is able to do. I'm extremely excited about it. And if you are as well, which I assume so, you should come see Professor Brian Hall's talk this afternoon because he's going to get down to the nitty-gritty of what happens and the technology behind this incredible, generative AI really applied to sports. And you reap the benefits immediately, and it's already here. So Make sure you connect. As you can see, you can scan these right here, and you can even set up a meeting with Professor Brian Hall. But make sure you make the talk at 3:30. I think you guys, your mind is going to be blown away, as mine has been. I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to allow me to present. Thanks.
Hey, Carlos, really appreciate you coming here and talking to us. You know, really respect your baseball career, but also your broadcasting career. And
Thank you.
Was curious, you know, are you using Gen AI to, you know, inform things that you're saying in the broadcast booth? And how are you leveraging that, you know, in that part of your life?
You know, we're not currently doing that, but you bring up another great potential use. It's this type of technology, it's really, the potential that it has is massive. You know, and as you just saw a few of the examples, but the possibilities are endless. So could it be used to enhance a broadcasting of a game? Absolutely. I mean, you see the capability that it has. Imagine me prepping for a game. You know, I'm going to be doing a lot of Tiger games this year. I can utilize this type of technology to prep me, and then I can provide better insights to the viewer at home. So you hit the nail right on the head. It could definitely be used broadcasting.
Hi, Carlos. I'm Elliot Schwartz. I work at the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. So when you were in Moneyball, the focus of analytics was really about evaluation of players and acquisition of players. And you know, you talked about the application of generative AI for coaches to really support player development. So can you talk a little bit about how that's happening and what you see happening in player development now as a result of data and tools like generative AI?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a huge rush, right? Every single team, it's really trying to utilize the data that we have, which is absolutely massive, and they're trying to distill it and provide it to coaches so that they can actually transmit it to the players. Now, that's easier said than done, right? As I told you, I mean, whenever someone from the front office, and I think Jonathan from the Rays is here, and he could validate me on this, and you cannot just talk to a player directly or to a coach directly in complex terms. So this provides the possibility of actually giving the player a simple one-liner. For me, it would be, Carlos, you have a weakness up and in with the fastball when they throw it up here. Today, all you have to do against Verlander, which was a nemesis, you know, for me, get on top of the fastball and hunt the fastball up. I'm like, what? That's all I have to do? And I can trust it, because at first I'm telling you, you're like, you know, you never played. Come on, man. Like, what are you talking about? You know, if one of the guys come up from the front office. But if a coach is telling me that, that's different. And then I'm like, okay, that's all I have to do, and I can trust it? You made my life easier. Let me tell you this, because this is interesting. When you go up to the plate and you really don't have any plan, you feel like you're walking into an ambush. You don't know what the pitcher's going to throw to you. And your only, you know, thought is like, well, I'm quick enough. I'm going to be able to react. I'm like, come on, man. Like, who do you think you are, Bruce Lee? Like, you're going to be able to, like, just, someone's coming from behind, you're going to kick them? No, like, you got to go up there and have a plan. You know that the attack is coming from here. You just simplified my life. You didn't complicate it. You simplified it. And now all my talent and all my focus is there, and it's validated by AI, and all the coaches checked on it. I'm going for it. So that's the value of that.
Hi, Emmy Award, Minnesota Vikings. My question for you is around, obviously data analytics, AI, all really important, but at what point are you focused on what's actually happening in the game versus what the data and analytics is telling you based on the flow, based on the feel, all of that, you know, your gut instinct, all that stuff. For example, Blake Snell getting pulled against the Dodgers in the 2021 World Series. The data told you to pull him in the 5th inning. That's what he's been doing all year, winning the Rays games. Rays lose the lead, Dodgers win the World Series. What are your thoughts specifically like on examples like that? When the data is telling you that's what's worked, but maybe the feel, the flow of the game, you're in the World Series, they end up losing, who knows what happens if he stays in the game, but what are your thoughts on kind of feel versus data? when you're in the moment of the game?
That is a great question. Because here we're all thinking like, oh, we got all this data, we got this technology. It's going to replace intuition. Wrong. That's not what we're trying to do here. What we're trying to do is enhance intuition. So it could validate your intuition. And these are presented in such a manner, by the way, you can customize this, the way you present it. Some teams are a little bit more assertive with their message. Some teams are more quantitative. Some teams like to be a little bit softer with the delivery. This language model, it could be calibrated to match the way teams are able to communicate with players. And not only that, it's calibrated and customized so that the technology, it's in synergy with your philosophy. So this is not a third, you can make it be that technology that checks you, but you can work it within the philosophy of your team. When things like that come up in a game, remember that very famous, well, infamous actually, point where Snell gets pulled and then the Rays do not, end up, winning. There you have the information before the game, and then you can check your intuition. We may be, because that was just a hard line stat, like you said. There was no, you're not looking at the nuances, you're not looking at the feel. The AI could be calibrated so that instead of taking the place of a decision that the manager is seeing, like all of us, myself, I'm like, he should not be taken out of the game. I don't care what the numbers say. The AI is able to be calibrated so that it's doing that. It's suggestive instead of absolute. It's like, what do you suggest here? That's all. But you have the last call. So that's the fact that you can customize it to your needs is huge. I agree. It shouldn't be totally absolute. You have to have that type of human presence matter, right? So this is not about replacing humans. This is about enhancing coaches, players, teams, organizations.
Hi, Carlos. Thanks for that presentation. So if I am playing around on ChatGPT and I ask it a question and hit enter, it'll give an answer. And then if I hit enter again, it'll give a different answer. So there's this element of like random sampling. Does that happen with alpha play? And as a player, if you're using alpha play and you're saying, how do I attack Justin Verlander? And it says hunt fastball. And then you run it again, it says something different. Does that freak you out, or is that like extra insight?
It would freak me out. It would. I was like, what are you talking about? ChatGPT? Like, are you serious? What are you talking about? Like, you just told me to hunt fastball, now you're telling me to sit on the changeup? Like, get your mind straight. The good thing is that technologies like the one I'm talking about, they don't do that. They don't do that. They tell you this is what you do. And that's precisely what I was talking about earlier, right? Enterprise-ready generative AI is not ChatGPT. ChatGPT is not enterprise-ready. It's unreliable. Like you said, you press it a few times, you get different answers to the same question. That is confusing, and that's what we're trying to avoid as players.
Thank you so much, everyone. Please enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you. Thank you.